Hey guys, we're back with the Game of Thrones or Song of Ice and Fire question of the day, and today we have a little something on Dany's visions and the House of the Undying. Welcome back to SmokeScreen. My name is Chris, and this is going to be a continuation of our new series, The Question of the Day, something relating to a Song of Ice and Fire or Game of Thrones that I pull from the comments from you guys. So be sure to leave any questions you may have in the comments below for any future Question of the Day videos. Anyway, today's question comes from John Townsend, and John writes, I think Dany's vision from the House of the Undying involving Rhaegar, Elia, and baby Aegon was them talking about the baby Rhaegar would have with Lyanna, not baby Aegon with Elia. Reread that part and assume they were talking about Jon Snow. Q&A, do you think this was maybe them having the conversation about the need of another woman and baby to fulfill the prophecy? Love to hear your thoughts. So yeah, John, absolutely. I do think you have to think about this scene a lot differently now. And for quick reference here, this is mainly a book thing because this does not happen in the show. Dany's visions in the House of the Undying were completely different. So you have to think about this differently now that we have the revelation that Jon Snow is actually named Aegon Targaryen. I think it's a good possibility that the books will follow suit as well. A lot of people still will argue Jaehaerys perhaps, or even Aemon Targaryen, and I think those would be fine as well. But I do think with the revelation of his real true identity and his name specifically, you have to think about this vision. So to go over the vision really quickly, in the House of the Undying, in the books only, she goes into a room and sees a man that looks like Viserys, her brother, only taller, and a woman in the room as well, no name mentioned whatsoever, holding a newborn babe. But of course she had never seen Rhaegar because she was born after his death. Now also during this vision, he's playing on his harp and seems to name the baby in this vision as well, and he says his name will be Aegon, what better name for a king. Now also the lady in the room, supposedly being Elia Martell, because that was his known wife, because at this point Lyanna was still a secret, and still is in the books as far as him actually being married to her. She also asked Rhaegar, will you play a song for him? And he says he has a song, his is the Song of Ice and Fire, which is one of the only times in the books that the actual name of the entire series, A Song of Ice and Fire, is actually mentioned in the books themselves. So I've definitely thought about this since we got the revelation in the TV show, specifically that Jon's real name is Aegon Targaryen. So now you have to go back and think about the books. Was that Dany actually seeing Jon born in a slightly different way? Of course, we know that Jon was born after Rhaegar's death, so this could have been actually a combination, not the actual scene of his birth, because of course he was born in the Tower of Joy in a bed of blood. It was only Lyanna there. So I do think this actually is Dany seeing Jon being born. Otherwise, Rhaegar would not say his is the Song of Ice and Fire. That makes no sense in the context of him being married to Elia Martell. There is no ice and fire there. He would simply be another Targaryen with a Dornish mother. But I do think it's also a different potential past as well, maybe even a combination of both, where Aegon was born essentially twice, at least two babies named Aegon if that's the case, and that woman in the room could in fact be Lyanna Stark and not Elia Martell, because otherwise you would think Dany would actually recognize her as Elia Martell even though she didn't know what exactly she looked like, because she did grow up with Viserys knowing the history of her family, and she did know that Rhaegar was married to Elia Martell. So you would think in the text when she's thinking about that vision that she would actually think, oh, that must be Elia Martell, my brother's wife, but she simply says that there's a woman in the room and never mentions a name. So I do think you have a scene here with Lyanna Stark and Rhaegar Targaryen having Jon Snow as opposed to the original Aegon, or Phaegon as most of us call him in the books, but just in a slightly different circumstance where perhaps Rhaegar lived, won the war, etc., and they had Jon Snow, Aegon Targaryen, the Song of Ice and Fire, the prince that was promised, whatever Rhaegar believed he was going to be. So yes, in short, I do believe this has to do with Jon Snow / Aegon Targaryen, not the original Aegon or now Phaegon, that may or may not have died when Tywin Lannister sacked King's Landing. But as usual, I am not the expert, so let's get Riddick's opinion and see what he says. All right, we have Riddick here today, and today on the Direwolf Stark paper, we have Jon and Aegon. So we're gonna let Riddick pick from these. All right, ready? Are you just gonna scratch the whole time? Just put them behind our back. You ready to pick? Pick. This one? This one? All right. Let's see what we have. All right, so Riddick thinks it is talking about Jon Snow. Riddick has spoken. He believes that this is about Jon Snow, and I think he's 100% correct. So anyway, guys, that's all we have for today. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And again, leave your questions in the comments as well for future episodes of the Question of the Day. And as usual, thank you for all the support, especially you guys on Patreon. And a huge shout out to my executive Patreon SmokeScreen producers, Lala Gig, Marylin, Bentley, Doc Holliday, Goska, HoonJive, Horton, Erin, Habig, John, Carey, Anastasia, Jason Landers, DTizSmith, MJW, Carole Brown, D Brown, Mike Colton, Lisa Phillips, Alfred Borstmayer, Rob Greene, and Ricky Corotte. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate the support. And to everyone on Patreon, I really appreciate it. You guys get this channel through the long night. And thank you to everyone on YouTube as well for all the support. If you dig what I do here, please give these videos a like and a share. Be sure to subscribe to get everything, and be sure to click that notification bell so you're notified when I upload a new video. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you